it's not fun and games no more. You know, if you're in my way, I'm not ironing you out. And then give me, who's next? You know, straight after the fight, who's next? The reason why I'm filled with rage after fights, filled with anger, is because my whole career I dealt with, you're this, you're that, you're this, you're that. Yeah, what about now, mate? What about now? Yeah, come talk to me now. And I get and it angers me. Yeah, it makes me angry because I was just a young kid trying to achieve something. I was a young kid choosing to do the hardest sport. I was a young kid who ain't pouncing off my dad.
Great to see you. How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
This is Conor Benn, off the cuff.
Conor Benn, what's in a name? The name Ben.
What's in the name Ben? I'd say legacy, pride, respect, and honour.
What's it like having that Ben warrior blood that you know your father had?
It's been in me from young. From life choices, from decisions I had to make, choices I wish I didn't have to make, but I knew I had to make. And, you know, part of that's in the DNA, the bravery, the risk. That's everything my dad's career was based on, wasn't it? I wasn't supposed to be a fighter. It just happened, and fate took place. I mean, I wasn't supposed to be a fighter. I wasn't raised that way, and here I am.
Were you raised not in a difficult scenario then? Were you raised with love, with money behind you, with a decent lifestyle?
I definitely had a decent lifestyle. I had a very blessed life, a very blessed upbringing, very firm. You know, when your dad's in the Royal Regiment Fusiliers, he was definitely firm, but it made me the man I am now, and I didn't understand then what I know now. And if that was preparing me to become the man I am today, to be able to deal with what life presents to me in this industry that I'm in, well then so be it, I'd do it all over again.
So your father was a disciplinarian, yeah?
100%.
Can you tell us some stories? What did he make you do then?
Oh, you don't want to know the stories. I remember once I missed weight as an amateur, and he went in on me. I mean, I was a kid. He went in on me, and I can assure you now I'll never miss weight again. Little things like that. He taught me the value for money. I understood the difference between what's my dad's is his, and he shares it with me. I understood that if I wanted it myself, I had to go get it myself. I didn't understand why my dad was so harsh on me. I didn't understand why he was so firm. No compassion, there was no softness there as a dad. As you say, he was a disciplinarian, he was very firm, and it's worked for me. It's funny because now I look at my dad and my younger siblings have a completely different dad to the dad I had. And, you know, boxing was never, he didn't play a massive part in our lives. He sold his WBC and WBO belts for charity. He done full-time work in church. So did my mum. So the legacy was frowned upon, so to speak, in the church community that we was in, as it was a very religious background.
When you say you weren't raised to be a fighter, did you choose boxing in the end, or do you feel almost like boxing chose you then?
Boxing definitely chose me. Doors just opened that you couldn't make up. Situations happened in my career that you couldn't add up, you couldn't predict. If you looked at me when I was 16, 15, to the man I was when I come here, you'd be like, how's that? I mean, I used to sing in the church choir, played the guitar, listened to Avenged Sevenfold and Guns N' Roses. Wish I was in a rock band with my purple ripped jeans and checkered, you know, black and grey top, thinking like I'm some grunge artist. That was me. Used to longboard, skateboard, and you'd never stick a pair of boxing gloves on me. Never. And then when I got to 18 was when really I changed. I developed this. I became a man. Made a lot of bad decisions, made a lot of right ones, and the outcome is me being where I am now.
When you go back to that point at 18, when you became a man, what happened to make you realise that?
You got to go way back. I mean, it started from when I was 16, where me and my dad never saw eye to eye. From 13 till around 18, where I got in trouble, and my dad would have a go at me if I was, 2 minutes past the time he said to be home. I mean, kick off, and I mean, you can't really argue with the Dark Destroyer, can you? So it was really one-sided argument, and then when he had confessed the 16 years of affairs to my mum, it damaged me growing up, because you got to remember your dad's your hero, and it happens, doesn't it?
You've had two very famous spars with your dad. They've become famous because you both talked about them. I think you had one when you were a teenager, and then you had one, as you say, when you were a man. You had the first one, 15, 16, were you in a spar with him?
15, 16. You got to remember, I had a lot of aggression at this stage towards my dad, and I thought, yeah, all right, I fancy a bit of that, and I said, oh, do you want to bring the right hand in? Getting all, I don't know what I was thinking, to be honest, and he threw a right hand over the top, and I'm surprised I remember the shot, but I remember he chipped my tooth, still chipped to this day, and blood on my nose, and then we got back up, and then he took me inside. And that was the end of that. And then when at 18, which was my last spar before we come here,
you told him you were going to box by then. You'd made the decision.
I made the decision.
Wasn't he saying, right, you're going to have to spar me to prove it?
It was one of them, and yeah, it was a fight. I mean, it was a fight. Yeah, we had smaller gloves on as well. I think I had 14 ounces on. He had 14s, and we were, or 12s even. No head guard, just me and him in the gym. This was the day before coming to England, and we just had it out. And I hit him so hard, and it's just funny because a normal father and son relationship, you don't have that sort of dynamic. But I hit him hard, and it was so good. I remember the shot. I kept replaying it back because we've got the recording, and I kept rewinding it back to the left hook, and you heard it. And I was just surprised he didn't go over. I tried it. I threw everything at him, and he threw everything back. And that was from 18 onwards. My dad's relationship is just unbelievable. And I think if there's anything I regret in my life to this day, would be not making the most of the time I was at home. Because the reality, what my dad's demons that he had to battle, his temptations, his X, Y, Z. Now I'm in his shoes, I can understand it. I can understand the temptation. I can understand the mistakes. Dad, I understand now. I get you. And I wish I never took out so much hatred on you my whole life growing up. It wasn't until I turned 18 I got in trouble where my dad, I expected him to kick off. He's gone, son, I love you, and I'm there for you. And that was when sort of all the shells just broke. It was that moment where I was like, oh, okay, my dad does love me then. But it was tough growing up, not thinking that my dad loved me, when really, he was just that fear that, he didn't want me to make the same mistakes he made. But now I live the career he's living, I'm thinking, Cor, it's hard. Temptations, it's hard. The battles is hard. I understand you, Dad. I take my hat off to you for the man you've become. I've achieved more than what I thought I could have achieved. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot more left to achieve. That goes without saying. The sky's the limit. It really is. Yeah, I think everyone in this room can say, oh, yeah, when I first turned over, it was, let's have fun let's enjoy it while we can. No, not one of the people in this room, we're about 100 million%, and I know if you're saying otherwise, you're lying. Was I going to get to where I've got to now?
I've heard you say before, there are some days when you've wondered why you're actually doing it.
Some days. Every day.
Really?
Every day. I mean, when it really gets going, when it really gets tough, I think, and I look at my other siblings in Australia and I think, yeah. You know, when they're putting pictures up in the sun and all that, chilling, relaxing, and I'm thinking, but then I wouldn't have been happy with that. Because I've always been really ambitious and driven, and I love winning. I fear losing. I love winning. But I could have been anything I wanted to be. Because anything I would have done, I ain't with the narrative of, I come from rags to riches. Boxing was all I had. But no, I had a plate full of decisions I could have made. I could have been anything I wanted to be. But anything I would have done...
You could have been in a rock band.
That's pushing it. That's pushing it. That's pushing it. But I could have had a push.
Church choir was the limit, was it?
Who knows? Who knows? But I could have been anything I wanted to be. I don't have to fight. How can I get told, oh, you're silver spoon this and that? But yeah, I choose to do the hardest sport in the world. Where's the logic in that? It's such a cop-out and excuse for people to give me credit I deserve of achieving what I've achieved, because the reality is, if they had what I had, they wouldn't do what I do. I'm sitting comfortable. I'm sitting very comfortable. Do I look like I'm slowing down anytime soon? Do I look like my hunger's lacking? The problem is when you come from nothing and then you achieve a little something, you think you're there. But the reality is, if you want to do comparisons, and I compare myself to my dad and what he's achieved, I ain't even quarter the way there. So, I could have been anything I wanted to be. Anything. I chose to fight.
Were you hurt when, kind of inside or emotionally, when people said that Eddie Hearn had only signed you because you had the name Ben?
I agree with it. Let's not be silly here. Of course he did. And if I was Eddie, I would have signed me too. I don't know where the turning point came where we've sat down and gone, okay, we had a good signing here. We signed it. It was a good decision to make. And do you know what's great about it? Is the British public have seen the whole progress. It's very rare you get that in boxing, because when you sign a good amateur, you normally know what they're about. You know how good they can be. You know where the limit is. Whereas you've seen me come from a little boy to now headlining shows, to doing great numbers, to knocking people out that should have been hard fights, having hard fights that should have been easy fights. It's a roller coaster journey, and it's a blessing to have the British public behind me. It's not fun and games no more. If you're in my way, I'm not eyeing you out. And then give me who's next. Straight after fight, who's next? The reason why I'm filled with rage after fights, filled with anger, is because my whole career I dealt with, you're this, you're that, you're this, you're that. Yeah, what about now, mate? What about now? Yeah, come talk to me now. And I get and it angers me. It makes me angry, because I was just a young kid trying to achieve something. I was a young kid choosing to do the hardest sport. I was a young kid who ain't pouncing off my dad. I'm a very intense guy. I'm a very emotional guy. But I'm not driven by the same spite my dad was. But then again,
maybe you're more human than you.
More human. That goes without saying. But
yeah.
My dad was a very emotional guy. I think I've seen my dad cry more times than my mum. I know. I probably cried more times than my missus, 100%.
We've talked about you and your dad a lot. One of the massive changes in your life, obviously, is you becoming a father. Has that changed the way you look at what you're doing?
Definitely not career-wise. I mean, I was already motivated. I fight for myself. Very selfish. Boxing is a selfish sport. I fight for myself, number one. Eli's changed me in terms of who I am as a man, and decisions I make. I'm talking life. Forget career. Forget boxing, because that's for Conor Benn. Yeah, I do provide for my family. Yeah, I do look after my family, but nothing's going to stop me from becoming number one, because I'm driven like that. You live and you learn, and And I'm just grateful for my son coming into my life. I mean, it's very warming. It's a blessing. It really is.
Imagine 17 years' time when he says to you...
We have this talk, he ain't going to be a fighter, mate.
He might say, Dad, we're going to have a spar.
Do you know what? That worries me, because if he is going to be that kid, he's going to give me that grand up. So he won't be a fighter, Gareth. I'm telling you now, mate. And I say this because I won't raise him that way. Like, I'm going to cover him with affection, love, compassion, all the above. I want my son to just, you know, I'd rather him be a lover than a fighter, 100%.
But if he...
But he won't, no.
But if he loves
and
and respects you, and he... Sons love to prove things.
I'm not manifesting nothing.
Yeah.
You keep talking about it. It's not going to happen, because at the end of the day, you don't need to fight. And I know we say I don't need to fight, but it just ain't going to happen.
Do you ever have a bad spar and you're down on yourself?
I have bad spars all the time. I have bad spars all the time, which is fine. Because come fight night, and I've got them small gloves on, it ain't going to make no difference. It don't. When you got them small gloves on, and you know you grit down on your gum shield, let's go. First off, it's the entertainment business. Number one. I'm a boxer, I don't even like watching boring fights. We're entertainers. And if you can't entertain, you ain't doing your job properly. What do you want to do? I mean, you've got two different fights, because I hear some fighters go, yeah, anything to win, even if it's a boring fight. Now, on the other hand, I go, do I want a boring fight? Do I want to be known to be in boring fights? Do I want to not take risks? See, when I have my opponent hurt and I smell a little blood or I see a little wobble, I'm on you. I'm on you. Irrelevant of what's coming back, I believe I can weather the storm.
Do you ever think about boxing being an inherently dangerous sport and think about your health?
I think as a fighter, I try to brush that thought to the back of my head. Is it worth it? Considering, again, I have my plate full with options. Is it worth it? And apparently it is. That's all I've got to say to that.
There's also hurting your opponents, and obviously, I don't know if you've spoken with Nigel about this, but he had an incredible fight with Gerald McClellan, didn't he? And Gerald is not well now. I
still think he struggles with it to this day.
Yeah?
Yeah, he definitely does struggle with it to this day. Because it's not who he is anymore. But at the end of the day, we all know the risks when we get in the ring. We all know the risks. We choose to ignore them risks.
Pick out for us what you think was your best performance so far.
I can't say. My Plainard fight made me. My Koivula fight showed me I have the power to work at that level, European level, as he was former three-time European challenger. No one knocked him out like that. So yeah, you see Koivula, and then Formella showed me I can outbox a boxer over 10 rounds and beat him more convincingly than Sean Porter. Mm-hmm. You also then have Vargas, which demonstrate the powers there again. So
and that hunting instinct as well, though, more than anything.
That don't go nowhere.
You just saw something there, didn't you, in that fight?
Straight away. Thought, no way can this go 12 rounds. No way is this going 12 rounds. It's just not possible. Just based on how I was feeling. Confidence is a luxury for the hard-working. Mm-hmm. Many people mistake it for arrogance. Like I'm going to go in the ring and go, oh, I hope I win here. Oh, am I ready? What, you think I get up at 4 in the morning for shits and giggles? Think, what, in the rain, on my own? You think I do that, because, I mean, I'm a nut job, but I ain't that much of a nut job. So what, you think I get up to do that just for the fun of it? I do that so when I get in the ring come fight night, I am confident. So I get in there and I go, yeah, I'm up for it. Do you know why? Because for the past 12 weeks I've been getting up at 3 in the morning in the freezing cold rain and doing my runs. And then going to the gym. Sparring 12 rounds with middleweights. Not 1, not 2, 3. Sparring 15 rounds on Wednesday. What, you think I do that? No, the reason I do that is so when I get in the ring, I know I've needed 3 middleweights who can deal with me. So what, you think you're going to do it off the cuff? You think you're going to do 12 with me off the cuff? Are you having a laugh, mate? Wait till I hit you. And then you sort of want that, you want that confidence. I would worry if you got a fighter in there who goes in there and goes, I'm not sure about this. It's only because you ain't worked out. It's only because you cut corners.
People are starting to say, outside the heavyweights, this guy really is a potential massive box office talent.
Well,
does that drive you on?
It's not a bit of pressure in it. I see people saying it. It's a bit like, listen, you can create the hype. Don't believe it. I believe I can be world champion. But it's hard because anything is a bonus. But I do believe I can achieve anything I choose to set my mind to. So I believe I can be the next pay-per-view star. Based on facts. Not what people are saying. I mean, women lie, men lie, numbers don't. And my numbers are heavyweight numbers. My viewings are heavyweight viewings. So why not?
Let's look at the welterweight division. I think most people would say that Terence Crawford and Errol Spence
Pound for pound.
are pound for pound in the division.
Definitely in the welterweight division.
Yeah, but would you be ready for them if they told you they wanted you to fight?
I'll take the fight all day long.
Yeah?
I'll take the fight all day long. I mean, they're only human, aren't they? I've got to a stage now where it really don't bother me. At the end of the day, it's very rare my back's up against the wall, but when it is, I fancy it.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank you very much. Lovely to see you, mate. Thank you.